Welcome to Card Central 365 on STL Sports Central. This show is powered by Gray Bar. All content here provided by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Matthew Rocchio, Stefan Caray, and a little bit of a later start for us today. Some technical issues with the StreamYard link, but we are happy to have you all with us. And maybe this is a positive because it's going to kill some time before a game that I know the fans are very anxious about, but maybe a little bit excited considering all the roster moves for the Cardinals. Feels like a game where they need to win. A rookie starter making his major league debut in Jacob Misiorowski against Sonny Gray, who's the ace of this team. Cardinals trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. Rocchio, what are you thinking about game number 1 against the Brewers?
Yeah, a lot of things going on now. Obviously, there's been some lineup movements that I think a lot of people wanted to see, specifically some people going down or some harsher moves than that, as well as some young players coming up, maybe giving them some more lineup flexibility going forward. Maybe that's been one of the reasons they've had a little skid here across the last 4 games. But to your point, obviously a huge game for them going up against a division rival, something they haven't done very often because of the weird way that the MLB schedule is breaking for them. And obviously, this isn't the only division game coming up here in June for them. Obviously, a big Cubs series coming.
Yeah, it's certainly a big moment for the Cardinals trying to take advantage of a series against the Brewers. They do play the Chicago White Sox for 3 games following this series at American Family Field. But a couple of trends here between these two teams this year. The Cardinals looking to avoid their longest losing streak this year, tying their longest losing streak, which occurred April 17th through the 21st. That would sit at 5 games. They didn't play particularly well against the Blue Jays. Gave up 27 runs over 3 games to a team that, by many accounts, can't score. Well, they've scored, and so have the Royals, who have struggled to score, and so have the Texas Rangers, who have struggled to score. And namely, the pitching has been an issue for the Cardinals. They've found ways to rally late. Brewers are hot, though. They've won 11 of their last 16 games, but have gotten off to a very cold start on this homestand, lost 4 of 6 against the Padres and the Braves. Talk about a gauntlet of a homestand for the Brewers. Now you welcome the Cardinals into town. Brewers are a half game back. Big series for both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, sorry I jumped off there for a moment, Stefan. I just wanted you to shine. It's huge for them. Look at the way the Cubs have been playing. You know, they had some up and downs against the Phillies, lose a series to the Tigers. Things are going to get very interesting across the months of June and July for the NL Central. It's going to get a battle. The Brewers are playing better. We see today that if there's anything you know about the Brewers, it's that they have plenty of pitching. Obviously, they have a starting pitcher today. Say, you know what? If I'm not going to be a starter, I don't need to be here. They're moving up again. A man making his debut today. It's not like that's ever gone poorly for the Cardinals, facing a guy in his first ever start. And there's more pitching coming up with guys getting healthy like Brandon Woodruff. So it's just the Brewers, even though we haven't been talking about them, it's been all Cubs over the last month or so. It's clearly, if you just grade out these teams with the way the Cardinals are playing, with the way the Brewers are trending up, this could be a 3-team battle at the top of the NL Central, and that battle could get bloody.
And this is the first time we can say the Cardinals have really struggled at home. Yes, they've lost series at home, but to be swept at home, that was certainly a cause for a little bit of concern. Brendan Donovan and his toe issue still remains to be seen on how long he will be out. Nolan Gorman has started swinging the bat better. Arenado has started swinging the bat better. And Victor Scott has started swinging the bat better. The main issue, Lars Nootbaar is not swinging the bat better. He is ice cold, and that has been a big problem for the Cardinals, trying to get some momentum with the top of their order. All the stress is really falling on Wilson Contreras and Ivan Herrera. That middle of the order can't contribute all the runs. There's got to be production from elsewhere.
Yeah, that's problematic. Obviously, you are getting a little balance. Mason Wynn going into the 2-hole, and he continues to be an above-average hitter for you, which has been huge. But again, just the strikeout numbers for Lars Nootbaar have just been huge. I mean, we're talking about 11 strikeouts in the last 4 games. That's just untenable from any spot in the order, but especially your leadoff hitter. And I was just talking about this to Bernie last week about, is there a mesh point where Lars just is striking out too much, and it doesn't matter if he sees 9 pitches and all those strikeouts and helps your other pitchers guys see those pitches. The fact of the matter is he's not getting on base even anymore. And so where does it get to a point where him seeing a lot of pitches doesn't help you more than the fact that he's a hole in the lineup right now? And I have a feeling that conversation has to be had now.
Well, a lot of those conversations have happened with regards to other personnel on the team. We're finally seeing some changes. Ryan Vilade sent out, Andre Granillo brought in, Michael Siani recalled. This is big for the Cardinals, who have a bullpen that at times have struggled to miss bats. Granillo has high velo stuff. He is a strikeout pitcher, has been phenomenal with AAA Memphis. You guys actually sort of may have started the war cry to get Andre Granillo up to the major leagues. For me, somebody who got to see Andre years ago in the Cape Cod Collegiate Baseball League, I'm so happy for him to get to make his debut, and hopefully it is a shining one against the Brewers.
Yeah, obviously, Bernie, I think it was 2 weeks ago, with a big post on stlsportscentral.com about Granillo, and you talk about already seen him a little bit. So obviously it's hard to grade how things move up level to level, but nonetheless, having some experience seeing Andre Granillo or knowing something about him a little bit more than people who maybe haven't read that Bernie article, what is he adding? You just said it, strikeout stuff to the Cardinals, and I think that's a pretty big add at this point.
It's huge, considering that Kyle Leahy has struggled a little bit of late, maybe a little bit of overuse at the beginning of the season. But you got to ride the hot hand, especially with a team that is built to win games 4-3, not 10-2. Offensively, the Cardinals, yes, have struggled a little bit, but one of the positive signs I want to talk about is Nolan Gorman. Over his last 11 games, 370 batting average, and above an 1,100 OPS with 4 extra base hits and 2 home runs. I mean, he has looked a whole lot better at the plate, starting to command the strike zone better. And with Brendan Donovan out, you may be able to see a little bit more slug out of the second base position.
I tell you what, tonight could be a great game for it. I know I'm kind of making some allusions as to how things usually go when the Cardinals have their ace and another team has a no-name we've never seen. But the big thing here is it's not a slow-throwing lefty who the no-name is. It's a hard-throwing righty, which means the Cardinals actually have a chance tonight, Stefan. And specifically, Nolan Gorman plays perfectly into that. I have a feeling if there's any night where he goes long again, it will be tonight against the Brewers. Take the young man yard. I like to look for it right now. Nolan Gorman's, he's seeing the ball better. He slowed the swing down. That's brought the K rate down a little bit. And I think he's finally finding, talk about mesh points, I think he's finally finding that balance of where is my power, but where is my control? How do I thread the needle on those two things? I'm not saying he's found it yet. I'm not saying he's not going to have a 4K game pop up out of nowhere. I think he's starting to find out and discover where it is. And I'm sure, much like other hitters like Victor Scott, we probably have some coaching that we haven't heard about yet that we're going to hear reported on by the great reporters around the Cardinals about why Nolan Gorman is starting to lock it in.
And everyday playing time, I'm sure, has a big reason to do with why he has been as successful as he is. We'll get into that pitcher that certainly is not a no-name for the Brewers, but a quick reminder that this show is powered by Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. He is Matthew Rocchio. I'm Stefan Caray. This is Card Central 365. And a little bit of drama for the Brewers. Today, you gain one starter, you might lose another. Aaron Civale came out saying, hey, I want to trade, after they brought up Jacob Misiorowski, who's a number 4 overall prospect in the system. This is a player that I think really provides a little extra oomph on that fastball. This has been a Brewers team that has really been surprised by their ability to develop and bring up young players. Chad Patrick, a name that comes to mind now, Misiorowski. They're going to have a good rotation as they have had over the past few years. They've replaced Corbin Burns. Brandon Woodruff is injured, but they haven't really lost a step at that position. Misiorowski now replacing Civale in the rotation. What do you make of that situation?
I mean, I know that Civale isn't happy about it, hence why he's asking for the trade. And he's not, as they said in the article on The Athletic, wonderfully reported, he's not, banging his fists on the table about it. He's just saying, listen, I deserve to be a starter, and I think I'm getting moved to the bullpen not because of my performance, but because of the circumstances that he called subjective. And, to the hard stats point, he's been a below average pitcher this year, and for his entire career he's about an average pitcher across the scope, except for he doesn't ever have years that are right around average. He has really good years and really bad years, and then it averages out in the long arc. So I mean, we know what Aaron Civale is. So I just think the Brewers are always going to be pragmatic. They have one of the lower payrolls in baseball this season, in the high 20s. So, they're making moves for the future. I mean, Civale's making $8 million, which is tied for the most in that rotation. That's insane. We talk about how like $11 million for Steven Matz is a tradable contract at the deadline, and the Brewers are over here sweating over whether or not a guy's making $8 million to be one of their main starters. It's bonkers, and so I'm not surprised by the move. But again, they just have so much pitching if you're the Brewers, and I guess when you have guys like Woodruff who are going to be coming off the IL later in the season, you have to know what you have in a guy like Mizorowski to kind of grade out what is our actual best rotation when we hit October. Do we have to leave, a Cardinals, we'll steal a Cardinals phrase here. What do we have to leave a runway for a guy like Mizorowski because he's good enough to be that guy next to Woodruff if we're in October? They got to find that out, and I understand that completely. They're, like I was saying earlier, I'm kind of getting worried about the Brewers right now.
As you should, and the Reds are not far behind. With that struggle of the Cardinals to start the month of June, you wondered, was the month of May a fluke? I'm not willing to go as far as to say that, but they have certainly struggled mightily this month, and they played some pretty good teams. So it balances out, but you hope that wasn't the peak in May. Cardinals, yes, 3-6 on the homestand, but Mizorowski is going to be a formidable threat. 4-2, 2.13 ERA with AAA Nashville. He is a strikeout pitcher. He's going to get swing and miss. But with that, usually means you're going to see more strikes. And the Cardinals have been good at hitting balls in the strike zone. So we'll see how disciplined they are. The other side of that is you bring Sonny Gray out to the mound, who is in midseason form, as he should be because it's the middle of the season. So many questions regarding what Sonny Gray was going to be able to do for this team, considering his struggles this spring. Let's look at his numbers over his last two starts. 13 and a third consecutive scoreless innings while winning each of his last two starts against the Rangers and the Dodgers. He's 3-0, 1.07 ERA with 30 strikeouts and just 2 walks over his last 4 starts. Now that is just ridiculous.
He's been nuts.
He's been so good, and every time the Cardinals have been on a bit of a losing skid, Sonny Gray has found himself in a position to get them a win, to stop the bleeding a bit, and this couldn't come at a better time for St. Louis.
Yeah, I think the most important tag you can give to Sonny Gray now, it might not be number one starter, it might not be ace, but I think stopper is an extremely important word for him, because if you want to mince about the other things, the bottom line is, can a guy get you a win when you need one? That's the most important thing when it gets down to the nitty gritty. If you want to walk away from numbers and turn away from those kind of things. And the bottom line is, so far this year, Sonny Gray has been a stopper. Now, my question will always lean to, when he's changing out a jersey every other inning, is he still able to be a stopper for you start in and start out in the dog days? That remains to be seen. That remains to be seen about the rest of this team. Can Ivan Herrera be a 900-plus OPS hitter throughout the dog days? That's a big question. It's not just with Sonny Gray. It's with other young guys as well on the offense. It's with other young pitchers as well. So that's why I think some people are wondering, is there more of a ceiling than what we saw in May? And at the same time, I'm okay if that's the ceiling, but are they going to play for that at that ceiling for another month plus at any point in this season, or most specifically in October?
Yeah, I totally agree with that point. And I think the Cardinals, again, are just now getting into their divisional schedule.
Yeah,
they haven't been in the division virtually at all this year. They played a ton of interleague games. They played a ton of tough interleague opponents. Think about it. They played the Red Sox, the Orioles, who I know have struggled, but are still a far cry from one of the bad teams in baseball. You will get the White Sox after this series against the Brewers, and then you could pick up a little bit of momentum. But the White Sox are playing well as well. And all the while, the Cubs were playing some very, very not easy teams, but they had an easier schedule in the month of May, the latter half of the month of May. So the Cardinals now get a chance to be on the road a little bit and then control their destiny against teams like the Brewers, the Cubs, the Reds, the Pirates. And we'll see what they do with it. But it's important to start well tonight and put your best foot forward against the Milwaukee Brewers, a team that you've already taken 2 out of 3 from once.
And speaking of starting well tonight, let's take a look at the lineup, Stefan, and see who's going to be taking the best shots for the Cardinals.
All righty. So the starting lineup for St. Louis: Lars Nootbaar leads off in left. Mason Wynn bats second at short. Ivan Herrera is the DH batting third. Wilson Contreras, almost said William, because he's playing his brother for the Brewers. It will be the first baseman and cleanup. Alec Burleson in right field bats fifth. Arenado sixth at third base. Gorman, Pajes, and Scott at second, catcher, and center to round out the order. And for the Milwaukee Brewers, Sal Frelick in right. Jackson Churio bats second in center. William Contreras will catch and bat third. Christian Yelich will DH. Rhys Hoskins bats fifth at first base. Isaac Collins in left will bat sixth. Bryce Terang will bat seventh at second. He's had a great career already against Sonny Gray. Caleb Durbin will man the hot corner. The man from Washington University will once again play the St. Louis Cardinals. And Joey Ortiz will be the shortstop, batting ninth. So kind of some similar lineups. This is a Brewers team that doesn't hit for a ton of power. You can look at the middle of their order and say, yes, okay, Yelich can, Hoskins can, and Chourio can, but the rest, not so much. It's not quite as balanced in terms of OPS. A lot of guys in the 600s, and the Cardinals might have a chance to really be able to outslug the Brewers this week.
Yeah, and it's not a lot of teams that they can claim that against, and that's why I'm going to keep on rolling with it. Pick to click, Nolan Gorman today. Hard throwing righty and Mizorowski. I know, obviously, highly rated, but still, you get the lefty Gorman in there, the way he's seeing the ball. You opened the show talking about those numbers for Gorman. I'm pick to click. I'm rolling with Samuel Howell. Nolan Gorman's playing. All the exclamation points are necessary. If they can, it's just the fact that we could be walking out at the end of June with a potentially healthy Jordan Walker who's been hitting the ball and a Nolan Gorman who has a month where he hits plus 800 OPS. There's no way I would have hoped for that in late April of this year. It could be huge. I just want to see it keep rolling for the Cardinals.
Yep. And you like to see the progression because, again, this year is about development and seeing what these guys can do. But you're also caught because you want to make sure that they're getting their wins as well. Before we get into our next point and talk more about this series opener, it's a friendly reminder that baseball season is officially underway, and it's time to step up to the plate with DraftKings Pick 6. Think of DraftKings Pick 6 as your fastball right down the middle. It's the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. Just select two or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. Pick 6 available in most states, including California, Texas, Georgia, Missouri, and more. Cash in your baseball knowledge. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
You know what? Here's how you know that Nolan Gorman. Oh, wait, it wasn't on there earlier during the morning show when we did our DraftKings Pick 6. We were talking about what picks we were going to make, and Nolan Gorman more than 0.5 home runs was not on there. It's now on the DraftKings app, and you're getting 3x right now. So if you get Nolan Gorman more than 0.5 home runs, and we have somebody here saying that they get the better Contreras. So let's roll with the positivity about the other Contreras, and let's go down to more than 0.5 hits for William Contreras. You combine those two, and you're winning 7.2x of your original wager, just like that on the DraftKings Pick 6 app.
Wow. Okay, so that sounds like a plan. You turn $10 into what?
$72.
I mean, that's not half bad. That wouldn't be a bad pick. And I figured you were going to go with Gorman because you said he's going to hit a home run. I wanted to ask before we got to the Pick 6 read, but it's always great advisement for the fans. And a reminder to everybody, get involved in the conversation, your questions, comments, concerns. Like and subscribe to our YouTube page. And keep watching along. I know we've changed our name, but the content will still be here. And hopefully things will turn around a little bit for the Cardinals. Now, let's put a bow on this show because we're getting right up there with the pregame show, and we don't want to have any clashes with our good friends with FanDuel Sports. But, Rocchio, tonight, how important is it that they get off to a good start on this road trip?
It's absolutely huge for this team, considering they have their stopper on the mound. You have a rookie going up against you. It's a righty, which means it breaks well against your lineup when lefties, right now, especially without Jordan Walker, hurt you so much. Everything is built right now for you to have success. Alec Burleson, Nolan Gorman, heck, even get Lars Nootbaar going. Let's even get some Victor Scott tonight. This is built for the Cardinals to get this one back and start a 4-game series out with a W, potentially paving the road for them to win 3 out of 4, which would be massive.
This is a team in the Brewers that plays excellent defense. They're kind of like the Cardinals in that regard, a scrappy sort of small ball playing team. They can play it. They'll steal bases. They'll be aggressive. Pedro Pajes has had one of the best arms. He's controlled the run game. You've seen less and less steals, but this team will run and will go. And I think one of the biggest things for the Cardinals that we didn't see happening, and we did see it happen just a few days ago. Well, yesterday, we saw it happen yesterday, taking a lead, but not giving up the lead. More often than not, over the last week and a half, the Cardinals have been down 2 or 3 in the blink of an eye. You just can't let that happen on the road.
Absolutely. And for me, the punchback is almost more important for me than their ability to score early, because when they don't have power, I need to consistently see the ability for them to go into innings and manufacture runs top to bottom. To your point, you can't always be leaning on just getting anything from the top of the order, because right now you're not, because of a hole in the way Lars Nootbaar is playing. So for me, I need to see consistent ability to punch back. The fact that they scored too early and then went dead quiet for the game after that, and pretty much they make a defensive mistake and then everything goes completely silent. That's problematic, because they're never going to have the power to silence a team with 9 runs in the first 3 or 4 innings. It's just not going to happen against good teams in the playoffs. They're going to need to be able to say, we need 2 runs here to get ourselves back in the game here in the 7th. Can we do it? That's what I need to see more consistently from the Cardinals.
And with the new additions to the club, we'll see if that shakes things up a little bit. My final question for you, Rocchio, and again, we touched on it briefly. How important is it for Lars Nootbaar to get going? And if he can't, how short is the leash for him to continue staying at that leadoff spot?
So my answer was going to be that I don't think the leash is that short, because who else do you put there? And I think that's the biggest answer right now. But, do they maybe give Michael Siani a little taste up there because he's now up and Lars has been struggling? Is that maybe why it's a Michael Siani and not a Thomas Saggese? I know the Saggese factor is always, if he's just going to be a bench guy, then we're not going to use Saggese because we want him to get at bats. But as soon as you ask me that question, the fact that it's Siani coming up as the bat in the trade-off, I wonder if maybe that's connected to the struggles of Lars Nootbaar, because I do think you've hit the point where you got to move somebody out. But the question, or the answer when I've asked this question to Bernie or Claves or Randy over the last 3 or 4 days was, okay, then who's going to take over the leadoff spot? And there wasn't really an answer. Maybe you say, well, let Siani get a crack at it. 800 OPS in the minors this year. Take a shot.
We'll see how they address that. Nobody has been hurt more by Nolan Gorman's success than Thomas Saggese. Now, if you can have Gorman hitting, that's who they're going to go with, and let Saggese have a shot later in the year. And those are all good things. Saggese hitting well in the minors. We'd love to have him up here, but we want to play him consistently if we can. So the Cardinals get started with the Brewers at American Family Field at 6:40 p.m. Central Time, 7:40 Eastern, trying to get a win and prevent a 5-game losing streak. For everyone here at STL Sports Central, this show is powered by Gray Bar. This content here on this channel is provided by DraftKings. The crown is yours. For Matthew Rocchio, I'm Stefan Caray. Signing off. Let's get a win tonight for St. Louis. Thanks so much for joining us.